All right, I call this meeting of the Magnolia Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. If everybody would please stand, Mr. Jay Michaels is going to lead us in our invocation and pledges.
It's been our longstanding tradition in the district to open these meetings in prayer. Dear God, thank you for this opportunity to lead our students and our faculty and staff, for this opportunity to start a new school year, to keep our kids safe, to provide guidance to the community. We thank you for the opportunity to feed the kids that might be missing a meal here and there, and for the chance to just come together in camaraderie. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Please join me while we say the pledge. Pledges. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, thank you, sir. I think we've got a special visitor here tonight, but you're on deck first.
That's right. That's right, I am. And not necessarily, again, one of the duties that I relish, but we were informed several weeks back that Mr. Chuck Adcox has resigned, or is resigning his position on the board after 11 years of service to Magnolia ISD. And his youngest, Colton, is just graduated, and so he feels like, and within his heart, that it's probably the time for him to step down. But for, you know, part of the, you know, is just somehow for us as a superintendent or the board to express to you and to Kathy and the kids about how much we have appreciated the Adcox family and the leadership and the integrity and the wisdom that you have brought to this board has made a huge difference in who Magnolia ISD is. And you know, Chuck, I just you know, the West Texas, you know, comes out in you so often as you help give us ideas and direction for this board. And our special visitor here, Mr. Billy Thompson, who is right here in the front row, served on our board of trustees for how many years, Billy? You know, a bunch of years. He was here whenever I got here, you know, 23 years ago. But we were recalling that, remember when Chuck first came on the board about that time, talking, you know, wondering whether or not he'd be a success in this position or not. But I want to report it has been a wonderful experience to get to know you, Chuck, and your family. And on behalf of this board of trustees, we appreciate all the things you've done in working with us and your years of service as a board president. And I say this all the time, but, you know, superintendent and that board president develop a very special relationship as we kind of put together agendas and we work through issues and whatever. And it's just a joy to have worked and served under you. And so, and again, to the family, Kathy, I just want to tell y'all how much we have appreciated you allowing Dad to spend time with us, because, you know, once a month, and it was not always just a once a month. There's a lot of other things that slip in there, and you know, he had a responsibility to be on this board, and he was here and he served, and he made a difference, and that is that's something I think that all of us can take an example for those who serve to make a difference in their community. So Would you join me in a round of applause for Chuck Adcox and his family? And then I'd like to have the whole family to come up here. Let me read it. It says, in recognition of your service to Magnolia Independent School District, the Board of Education, your presence has enriched the lives of students and served as an example for all. 11 years service. And Board President 21 through 23.
Hey, y'all can't get in a hurry to leave now because there's a few comments that a few of us have. So don't run off. Anybody want to?
Well, I can go first. So, or do you want to go first? Go ahead, Sonia.
I just want to thank Chuck and his wife Kathy and family. I've seen them, boy, when we moved out here, we had little ones at Nichols Sawmill Elementary, as did they at that time. And I just remember that they were so dedicated to Nichols Sawmill Elementary, and they shared all their times and talents with the school, and the teachers, and the children. And no surprise that he would end up being president of the school board at that time. But thank you so much for your dedication to the community and always being willing to give back to it. Thank you.
Yeah, same thing. I think I've just really enjoyed serving with Chuck and more importantly, just making a friend and having a friendship that we have. And the only other guy that will show up without socks on besides me. But I think I've learned a lot just watching your leadership and behind closed doors. Chuck is never afraid to lead this group. He's never afraid to say what he feels and whether we like it or not, and that's good, and that's what we need. We need people that will lead and do the right thing and say the right things whenever maybe not everybody else is but wants to. And Chuck was always that voice for some of us maybe that wouldn't do that sometimes. And I just appreciate you and your family. I know it's a commitment for the family too, and thank you guys for sharing Chuck with us.
I wanted to make sure to say a few words. I haven't worked or served alongside you as long as most of the board up here, but through the time that I have, I've just appreciated your leadership. It's been very strong, steadfast, unwavering, and I just appreciate your welcome that you gave me to the board, and again, your leadership. 11 years is a long time. And then I just wanted to say the observation. I know last year I got to be a new school board member, and you made sure to treat every single staff member at both high schools. And I know that was not a new thing. You've done that, and you and Kathy have done that out of your own pocket all through the years. And just that Bahama Bucks treat brought so much joy to so many, and that just shows the person that y'all are. And then last, just as a personal thank you for your support during my campaign. Both of you were there and supporting in more ways than one, so we'll miss you, thank you, and don't be a stranger.
Well, I am clearly the newest here, but it has been an honor to get to know you, and you're reiterating what everyone else has said, and your wonderful family. We've been in the MVPs together for a while, Kathy, and that's been so nice. You always bring the fruit for us, so we appreciate that. What I wanted to say to you, Mr. Adcox, is that you gave me a memory that will help me, and I hope that I continue to remember this and to carry it with me as long as I'm blessed to serve on this board. At graduation this year, I watched you shake the hand of 2 high schools filled with students. And the joy that you greeted each child, the first child with, you had that same enthusiasm for the last child. And after it was over, I asked you, how do you keep that up? And you said, because it's their moment. It's their moment. And I hope that I continue to remember that while we're up here, we are here for those children and their moments. So thank you for giving me that to keep me going. You're so appreciated. So thank you for serving this community for 11 years.
Chuck, thanks. Like Stacia, I haven't been on the board all that long, but your calm demeanor up here, your just welcoming friendship as a fellow board member, and guidance in the less than a year that I'm up here and the couple of years that I've been closely following the meetings has been tremendous, and just kind of setting the tone for what we do and why we do it. And I can't thank you enough for that.
So Chuck, thank you. I mean, wow, it's been a lot of years. This family right here is a heart of gold. You guys got to know that. They do. It's a special family right there. We appreciate you. And thank you for sitting in this chair. Thank you for the dedication you had, for saying things like Travis said that aren't always popular, but that need to be said. Sometimes we're thinking it. Sometimes we hadn't been smart enough to think about that. So thank you for the integrity and most of all your heart, putting it into this like you did, because it showed true dedication and willingness to do the right thing and serve in the capacity that you've done. So we just can't say thank you enough. Thank you, Chuck. All right. We've roasted him pretty good, I think. I think our next item up tonight is Dr. Garza.
Okay, good evening. So back in, I think it was May, we brought forth to y'all, we recognized 3 of our schools, Magnolia Parkway, Magnolia Intermediate, and Magnolia Junior High, as becoming national model schools by Solution Tree, which is one of the national leaders in education. So tonight we have a 4th school join that club. So I'm going to introduce Darren Grisham again. He's here to present to Smith Elementary.
Thanks, Dr. Garza. President Blizzard, Dr. Stevens, trustees, I feel like actually, if I could for a moment, I feel like mine and Mr. Adcox's paths are intertwined. I've only been here twice, and the last time I was here, he moved from that chair to this chair, and he was recognized for his board service, and now tonight he's moving to a different chair. So congratulations, sir. But tonight, we're all here about Smith Elementary. I had the pleasure of spending a good while at the school this afternoon, and I have to tell you what a special place that is to educate kids. You get the feeling right when you walk in the door. Go to schools all the time, and you can tell right when you walk in, and had a great time with Principal Rivera and the staff there. And we are recognizing them as the 4th Model PLC campus in your district. And what I have to tell you is, what's really hard is when you have a history of a high-performing campus, and they can keep up the discipline, and they can keep up the focus on students, and that's what they've done year after year. And so their criteria is the same as everyone else's, so they have to demonstrate fidelity to the professional learning community process, and also see increasingly good results for kids. And they still do that, even though they started out at a pretty good place a few years ago. So just join me in thanking them. They do tremendous work there. This team had conversations when we were talking, and they talked about all the things they're implementing and how they approach each year, and they're off to a great start already. So congratulations on your 4th Model PLC, and I hope to be back with you again soon, but congratulations.
Ms. Rivera, you know, it's no secret that a lot of great things have been going on at Smith Elementary School for quite a while. And it's just like maybe the rest of the state has kind of figured out maybe we need to do some celebrating about the great things that are happening at Smith, but because of your leadership. And so thank you so much for that. And another round of applause for all the great things that are happening at Smith Elementary School. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Medina, I think you're next.
Do we have fine arts?
Going to talk some fine arts tonight.
Thank you, President Blizzard, Dr. Stevens, members of our board. Do you mind if I turn around? All right. Hi. I'm Robert Medina. I'm honored to serve as Director of Fine Arts for Magnolia ISD. I'm here tonight to share news of multiple accomplishments by several of our fine arts programs during the summer months. Outstanding pedagogy was certainly on display in addition to exceptional artistry from our students. I begin tonight by sharing the news of our 2 high school concert band programs. There we go. The Texas Music Educators Association's Honor Band Contest may very well be the nation's most elite concert band contest. Many educators believe that through the process of hearing and observing the results of quality teaching, directors could develop their own instructional skills to a higher level. In addition, selection of an honor band is in each classification recognize communities and school systems that successfully supported music and education through their instrumental music programs. Through the years, participation has been active, and the recognition of exemplary programs through the honor band selection process has become a most sought-after achievement. As a result, the quality of honor groups has remained high, and the original purpose of growth and development through observation and superior teaching and performance has been addressed annually and maintains its validity. The honor band selection is a multi-step, months-long process, and I'm proud to announce that for the first time in school history, your Magnolia High School and your Magnolia West High School Wind Symphonies earned first and second place respectively at the regional contest, earned first and second place at the area contest. They were the only 2 bands to make it out of area and were state semifinalists, earning a top 20 finish at the state contest in July. Andrew Hicks is the director of bands at Magnolia West High School. And Patrick Beavers is the director of bands at Magnolia High School. And they are currently finishing up rehearsals with this year's marching bands. But we want to say congratulations and yay band. These are 2 young directors who are doing outstanding work with our students, and they are being recognized at the state level. In addition, there we go. In addition, the Texas Choral Directors Association held its annual conference in San Antonio this July. 5 choir students from Bear Branch Junior High and 1 choir student from Bear Branch Intermediate earned state accolades and a performance in San Antonio this summer. This is a first in program history for both choirs. The TCDA All-State Junior High Choir was led this year by Dr. Charlotte Boda. Dr. Boda is an assistant professor of music and director of choral activities at Hamilton College. Please help welcome Mrs. Hannah Glennie, the one on your left, as the choir director at BBJ. Thank you. And also at the TCDA conference in July, a student from our Bear Branch Intermediate Choir earned a spot in the Honor Choir. It's a statewide audition process, this year led by Elizabeth Shepley from Minneapolis, St. Paul, Minnesota. And please help me congratulate Mrs. Carissa Vance, the director of that wonderful program at BBI. And lastly, I would like to announce that Magnolia ISD has won the 2023 TAEA, Texas Art Educator Association, District of Distinction Award. Only the top 5% of districts in the state earned the honor this year. Magnolia ISD received this honor for providing a well-rounded education that advocates and integrates visual arts curriculum to inspire creativity and build learning that connects learners to their community and beyond. Sandra Newton, the chair of the Visual Arts Administrators of Texas, stated, "It's a true testament to your visual arts educators' skill, dedication, and flexibility that the quality of our programs continue to provide strong and comprehensive visual art educational experience to the students here in Magnolia. This honor, in my opinion, would not have been possible without the tireless effort, guidance, and dedication of that young lady right there, Mrs. Jessica McKinney. She's our visual art coordinator for Magnolia ISD. This, in addition to her teaching, she's on faculty at Bear Branch Intermediate. Please help me thank Mrs. McKinney and the 21 faculty members in our art department for guiding our students to an elite level of artistry as recognized by the state of Texas." Thank you, President Blizzard and Dr. Stevens and members of the board for supporting fine arts in this outstanding district we call Magnolia our home. Thank you very much.
Thanks for that great work. We appreciate it. Mr. Bruner, you're next, I think.
Well, good evening, everyone. Just want to briefly bring you up to date on where we're at with the bond projects. I'm going to start with Audubon Elementary. As you can see, we are moving along pretty well, hanging steel out there. They have actually done a lot of the second floor decking. The roof decking will begin next week. At that point, I mean, we're just working on the building envelope, getting everything kind of sealed in so we can move forward with the interior build out. They've already started the plumbing rough in, which I've got a shot of. Here's one more picture from the back. This is actually from the kitchen looking through the cafeteria. You see the stage there. And then you can see the plumbing rough in that's already begun. Once we start putting the walls up, we'll follow up with the electrical rough in, and it'll kind of go from there. The mechanical soon to follow. So this project's clipping along slightly ahead of schedule. I'd say about 3 weeks ahead of schedule. So everything's looking pretty good. And there was a lot of catch up at this job, so it's gone well. This is intermediate school number 3. This is a shot that is done with a drone and kind of gives you a very good overview of the entire site. So in the foreground there, the L-shaped building pad is the actual building pad, the actual subgrade. So what they have done in there is we've completed all the drilled piers, and they're now working on grade beams. So I think they're looking at next Wednesday pouring the first slab on grade at that facility. this project's well ahead of schedule. Stewart Builders has done a fantastic job keeping this thing caught up. And you can just see a shot of the grade beam installation that's going on, a little bit of storm sewer work. And then last, we have Mag Junior High that's just in, we don't even have a building permit yet. We're waiting on that. We're sort of in a position where, you know, any day now, but we went ahead and started the clearing. So that work's ongoing, and we're ready to start dirt work as soon as we can get a permit. Just to catch you up a little bit on some of the other projects too, we're in the design development for our 2 CTE buildings, one at each high school. You know, we expect these things to probably be ready to go out for permit this fall, October-ish. Considering how long it's taking to get a permit, we're hoping to start construction sometime after the first of the year. And if we can get that done, I would go ahead and project now that we could probably have those open for the 24-25 school year. That's pretty much it. You guys have any questions? Nope. All right. Thanks.
Good work.
Thank you, Mr. Brenner. You got your hands full. All right, what else we got to go over? Anything else?
We got a break, we kind of go.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take a short break, and if those of you want to slip out, you can, but we invite you for the next part of the meeting. Thank you. All righty, Ms. Hinkleman, do we have anybody scheduled to speak? No. Okay, thank you. She's whipping us into shape over here. Okay, now we're moving on to our consent agenda. And this portion of the agenda has items that are routine and enacted by one motion unless we need separate discussion. Please speak up if we need separate discussion. Otherwise, if there's not any questions, then any questions? Anybody? We good? We all read through it? All right. We need a motion that the board approve consent agenda items A through K. Motion by Travis, seconded by Sonia. All in favor? That motion passes. Thank you. And then our next one up is Dr. Morris himself.
All right, thank you, Mr. Blizzard. Thought I'd go ahead and make my way up in case it took some time. So, first item on the agenda this evening, as we talked about in our budget workshop this evening, we are proposing a tax rate for the public notice consisting of just over 67 cents on the M&O, just over 29 cents on the INS, for a total tax rate of 96.38 pennies, 96.38. Compared to last year's rate, as we discussed, it's about a 18 penny decrease and should put us as one of the lowest in Montgomery County. So it's our recommendation that we approve that for public notice purposes. And again, we are not approving the tax rate tonight, just the public notice.
And as you pointed out in the workshop that we had, that it has continually been going down the last several years, the tax rate.
Yes, ma'am. I forget the exact amount that it went down last year, but it's been considerable. As recently as 4 years ago, it was up in the $1.30s. Mm-hmm. And so back in 05-06, we were closer to $1.70. We were at $1.79 was our peak back in the 2005-2006 school year. So yes, ma'am, it's continued to go down in spite of successful bond elections and such.
Mm-hmm. And you had said that it was, I know last year was a 20-year low when we looked historically back. And
Yes,
this
ma'am.
year, we don't even know how far back to go to find it this low?
Honestly, I would have to look at some archives from decades ago, probably to find a rate that's less than $1.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, the economic growth in the area has helped us with that. Some of the movement by the legislature has forced some of the compression as well, but it's a good place to be. It is a solid tax rate. Like I said, I believe Conroe ISD is recommending at their board meeting right at 96 cents as well. So we should mirror them in terms of being the lowest in Montgomery County. They are, yes, sir. They are, yes, sir. 1.9. Yeah, sorry, let me get off on Anyhow, so that's our recommendation to approve that rate.
Any other questions? We good? All right, no other questions. We need a motion that the board approve the proposed, as Dr. Morris said, proposed total tax rate of 96.38 cents with a maintenance and operation tax rate of 67.12 cents per $100 of taxable value and debt rate of 29.26 cents per $100 of taxable value. Motion by Jay, seconded by Dasha. All in favor? All right, that motion passes. Thank you, sir, and you can carry on.
Yes, sir. As part of the truth in taxation requirements, basically the guidelines headed down by the Texas Comptroller each and every year when we're adopting our tax rate, we must include an official agenda item to approve the date and time of the public hearing. The public hearing will take place at 6:30 p.m. August 28th, right here at the MEC. So it is my recommendation to have an official action to approve that date and time. Thank you, sir. 8C, also in connection with the truth in taxation requirements. Each year we have to calculate the no new revenue and effective tax rates as well. Part of that process is that we must approve excess collections from prior year, if there were any, and certify collections rate for current year. All of this information comes from Ms. Tammy McCrae's office. We set a rate last year of 100%, so there are no excess collections to certify for INS purposes for last year. And the new rate, and this is somewhat new, but since the first time since I've been here, at least since '08, we are certifying a collection rate of just under 100% at 99.57 based on a 3-year average. So there very well could be some excess collections to report next year. So, in a nutshell, we're asking for the approval of excess collections for last year, which there were none, and the approval of the collection rate for this year, as certified by Tammy McCrae.
Everybody good? All right. So we need a motion that the board accept the excess collections for the 2022 debt service and certification for debt service collection rate for the 23-24 year as submitted. Motion by Travis, seconded by Jay. All right, all in favor? That motion passes. Thank you, sir. And keep on going.
One more item, yes, sir. This one can sort of get in the weeds, so I'm going to do my best to try not to get in those weeds. For the 3rd year in a row, we've received notification from TEA that we will have exceeded one level of wealth equalization. Fortunately, we're not accessing any pennies at that level. That means that we have to send money back to the state. However, the comptroller doesn't certify the tax rates until February. So at this point, TEA doesn't know what our tax rate's going to be next year, even though it will be certified in a few months locally. So basically, and again, I'll try not to get into the weeds, but were we to have a successful TRE and we were accessing any of those pennies, a portion of that would have to go back to the state of Texas, okay? Because we would have we will have exceeded our local plus state money that we are supposed to or that we can receive combined at that level. But like I said, at this point, we're not accessing any of those pennies. Regardless of that, we still have to go through the process considering and approving an agreement for the manner by which we choose to equalize our wealth, okay? So here are the 5 different avenues to equalize wealth. We've done this, again, this is the 3rd year in a row. So we're recommending that we utilize the purchase of attendance credits from the state, which is netting Chapter 48 funding, ultimately if, let's say we did have a TRE in November and it was successful and some of the money had to go back to the state, ultimately they would simply reduce the amount of funding that we get until it was equalized. Okay? But again, I think the most important thing to note here is we've exceeded that level, but we're not subject to having to send any money back to the state. Clear as mud? Okay. So again, it is my recommendation that we approve the agreement for purchase of attendance credits, which is via option 3 agreement with a reduction in Chapter 48 funding.
And just to clarify, this is basically state requires that you select.
It is, yes, ma'am. And ultimately, again, it has to do with the fact that I mean, there will be many districts that are going out for TREs in November. We're not one of them. You know, if we were accessing some of those pennies, we would have to send some money back to the state. So, but it is a state assigned process that we have to go through. Many of our neighbors are having to do the same thing. I was talking with Willis ISD CFO the other day. They were going through it for the first time. So. It's the old Robin Hood, the artist formerly known as Robin Hood for back in the day.
All right, we don't have any more questions. We need a motion that the board approve the agreement for purchase of attendance credits, option 3 that Dr. Morris showed us here, netting Chapter 48 funding. So we need a motion for that. Sonia, motion seconded by Dasha. All right, all in favor? All right, that motion passes.
I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, before we get into the next one, yes, sir? Maybe at the end. Maybe at the end. Yeah, okay, okay. So I know Dr. King, come on up. Dr. King's supposed to be here with us. I don't think he's feeling well, so we're going to invite well-qualified folks to step in for him.
Yes, sir. Dr. Stevens, Mr. Blizzard, members of the board. For those that don't know me, my name is Ben Petty. I'm the Executive Director of Secondary Student Services. And yeah, I'm going to fill in for Dr. King here on a couple things. The first item for your review is the 23-24 Student Handbook. And as you know, Magnolia ISD uses TASB models in constructing the MISD Student Handbook. Of course, that handbook is designed to align with law, with board policy, and with the Code of Conduct. And then we take that handbook and the revisions that we need to make from TASB, and we do our best to implement those in a practical way on campuses. This year, there really are no changes to note in that handbook. It remained pretty much the same. So if there's any questions that you have, I'd be happy to do my best to answer those at this time. All right. Next item for your approval, your consideration is the 23-24 Student Code of Conduct. And again, we use the TASB models to construct this as well. Again, this has remained mainly unchanged except for one thing of note, and that comes from House Bill 114, which requires any student that is caught with a vape of any kind to spend time at DAP. So whether it's just a nicotine vape or one that has THC, student is required to spend time at DAP. So that's not just us, that's any school in the state. That's a new law and education code. And so we will no doubt face those, I'm sure, and deal with those as needed. So again, if you have any questions on any of those, I'll do my best to answer those at this time. Okay. Thank you.
All right, if there are any questions, we need a motion for that one to approve the 23-24 Student Code of Conduct as presented. Motion by Travis, seconded by Stacia. All in favor? Motion passes. Thank you. Dr. Bullock, you're next.
Yes.
You're the new Dr. King.
Subbing for Dr. King as well. Dr. Stevens, Mr. Blizzard, members of the board. In front of you in your packet, you have the safety audit for the school district. We are required once every 3 years to have a safety audit and that is done and conducted through the Texas School Safety Center. You have a summary, I believe, of that audit in your packet after the cover sheet. The audit was positive overall in general. It covers areas from our emergency operations plan to whether we are having the right committee meetings as required by law. Do we have plans in place for behavioral issues with students, suicide prevention, trauma-informed care, and are we prepared in the event of, of a really bad situation happening on campus? So it also includes bullying prevention and then safety and security processes. So overall, the audit, we fared well in the audit. There's always things to work on and improve, but the overall report from the Safety Center was positive for the efforts the district has made. So this is a review item, just to make sure you guys are informed of how we're handling these issues. It does not require a vote, but I'll answer whatever questions I can.
I just remind the board, there is a tremendous amount of work that goes on behind the scenes with our student service administrators and our principals preparing for this safety audit. And actually going through the safety audit is quite an ordeal. But I don't think those are things that are brought out that often, that there's so much work that goes into making sure that every day just seems like an ordinary day on those campuses. There's a lot of people thinking about what are the best operating procedures to keep our campuses safe. So I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that goes into that, sometimes behind the scenes, taking care of those things, And obviously, we mention our constables a lot and all the great things they do in their service being there, but a lot of this stuff is just the tedious work of, operating procedures, doors that are locked, other procedures about how you come and go from playground and other things, and what if scenarios. So I appreciate all the work that goes into that and taking care of our students.
We all appreciate that. I mean, if we don't get that right, I guess the rest of it is a little bit tougher to deal with, right? So I know it might be, like you said, a lot of detail work, but we certainly appreciate that. That's number one, right? We got to get that right. So
We've reached that spot there, haven't we?
that's right. I guess we've got the bewitching hour here. We're done early, I guess. But before we leave, I wanted to encourage anyone that we've got an empty seat right over there on the end that we're looking for names. Oftentimes we end up appointing somebody because we have a vacancy, and we would want to consider any names that you guys might have. So send this to us. Obviously, there's an election in the spring, but for now, we've got an empty seat. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
It's been our tradition to fill them. So.
Yep, that's right. All righty then. We're going to now recess and move into closed executive session for purposes permitted by pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.071, consultation with attorney, pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.072, discussion of purchase, sale, exchange, or value of property, and pursuant to Texas Government Code 551.074, personnel discussion and recommendations. Thank you very much. All right, we need a motion to adjourn this meeting. Motion by Sonia, seconded by Travis. All in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you.